Have you ever picked up your phone just to check one notification, only to realize that 3 hours have disappeared? You don't remember half of what you watched. You feel mentally exhausted, less motivated, and maybe even a little guilty. Then you wonder, why can't I just stop scrolling? If this sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. And here's something important to understand. This isn't simply about lacking willpower. Many social media platforms are designed using powerful psychological principles that capture and hold our attention. Today, we're going to explore what science says happens in your brain after hours of scrolling, why it feels so difficult to stop, and most importantly, how you can regain control of your attention without completely giving up social media. Let's start with one of the most misunderstood chemicals in the brain: dopamine. You've probably heard dopamine described as the brain's pleasure chemical, but that's actually an oversimplification. Modern neuroscience suggests that dopamine is more closely related to motivation, anticipation, and learning about rewards, rather than pleasure itself. Think about what happens when you're scrolling through social media. Every swipe brings uncertainty. Maybe you'll see a funny video. Maybe someone liked your post. Maybe you'll find interesting news, or maybe nothing particularly exciting happens. Your brain loves this uncertainty. Researchers studying reward systems have found that our brains respond strongly to unexpected rewards. This process helps us learn what experiences might be valuable and encourages us to repeat behaviors that previously led to rewarding outcomes. In simple terms, your brain starts thinking, maybe the next swipe will be interesting. And that's one reason scrolling can continue much longer than we originally intended. Have you ever unlocked your phone without even realizing why? Maybe you opened Instagram or YouTube automatically, even though you weren't planning to. If so, you've experienced how powerful these reward systems can be. But dopamine is only part of the story. To understand why scrolling feels so difficult to stop, we need to talk about a concept from behavioral psychology called variable reward reinforcement. Decades ago, psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered that behaviors become especially persistent when rewards are unpredictable. Think about slot machines in casinos. People keep pulling the lever because they never know when the next reward will come. Social media works in a surprisingly similar way. Every refresh of your feed offers uncertainty. Most posts might not interest you, but occasionally you discover something funny, emotionally engaging, informative, or socially rewarding. Because you don't know when that next rewarding piece of content will appear, your brain keeps encouraging you to continue. This doesn't mean social media companies are evil, but many platforms are intentionally designed to maximize user engagement using well-established principles of human behavior. The result is that stopping often feels much harder than we expect. Have you ever told yourself, just one more video, only to realize you've watched 20 more? If yes, you're experiencing exactly how variable rewards influence behavior. Now let's talk about attention. Many people notice that after long periods of scrolling, it feels harder to focus on work, studying, reading, or even conversations. Research has explored the relationship between heavy digital media use and attention. Some studies suggest that people who frequently multitask across different forms of media may experience greater distractibility and reduced sustained attention. However, it's important to be scientifically accurate here. Researchers are still investigating whether social media directly causes attention difficulties or whether people with certain attention styles are naturally drawn to frequent media use. The evidence is still evolving. What we do know is that social media platforms are designed to constantly provide novelty. New videos, new notifications, new posts, new comments. Your attention repeatedly shifts from one piece of information to another. After spending hours in this environment, slower activities like reading a book, working on a project, or studying may feel less stimulating by comparison. This doesn't mean your brain is damaged. It simply means your attention has adapted to a highly stimulating environment. Have you noticed that focusing on one task sometimes feels more difficult after a long scrolling session? You're certainly not alone. Let's also discuss mood and motivation. Social media itself isn't inherently bad. It can help people stay connected, learn new things, find support communities, and even improve well-being. The challenge arises when use becomes excessive or compulsive. One factor is social comparison. Psychologist Leon Festinger proposed social comparison theory, which suggests that humans naturally evaluate themselves by comparing themselves to others. On social media, we're often exposed to carefully selected highlights of other people's lives, achievements, vacations, fitness transformations, relationships, and success stories. When we compare our everyday reality to someone else's curated highlights, it can sometimes leave us feeling inadequate or dissatisfied. Another factor is fear of missing out, often called FOMO. Research suggests that people who experience higher levels of FOMO may be more likely to engage in problematic social media use because they worry about missing important experiences, information, or social connections. Sleep can also play a role. Late-night scrolling may delay bedtime, expose us to stimulating content, and interfere with healthy sleep routines. Poor sleep, in turn, affects mood, concentration, emotional regulation, and productivity. But it's important to distinguish between normal social media use and problematic use. Most people use social media without major problems. Normal use might include staying connected with friends, learning new information, or enjoying entertainment during free time. Problematic use is different. It may involve repeated unsuccessful attempts to cut back, neglecting important responsibilities, feeling distressed when unable to access social media, or using scrolling as the primary way to escape difficult emotions. The goal isn't to eliminate social media completely. The goal is to use it intentionally instead of automatically. So how can you regain control over your scrolling habits? The first strategy is to increase friction. Habits thrive when behaviors are easy and automatic. Making scrolling slightly less convenient can significantly reduce impulsive use. Try removing social media apps from your home screen. Turn off automatic logins. Log out after each session. These small obstacles create a moment of pause that allows you to make a conscious choice. Second, create specific times for social media use. Instead of checking apps throughout the day, decide in advance when you'll use them. For example, 20 minutes after lunch and 20 minutes after dinner. Research on implementation intentions suggests that planning exactly when and where you'll perform a behavior increases the likelihood of following through. Third, turn off non-essential notifications. Notifications act as environmental cues that trigger habitual checking behaviors. Reducing these cues decreases the number of times your attention gets pulled toward your phone. Fourth, replace the habit instead of simply removing it. If scrolling helps you cope with boredom, stress, or loneliness, removing it without alternatives may not work. Consider replacing scrolling with activities that provide genuine restoration, such as going for a walk, reading a few pages of a book, listening to music, practicing mindfulness, exercising, or calling someone you care about. Finally, track your screen time. Many smartphones now provide screen time or digital well-being reports. Monitoring your behavior increases awareness, and awareness is often the first step toward meaningful change. You might be surprised by how much time small scrolling sessions add up over days and weeks. If you've struggled to stop scrolling, remember this: you're not lazy, weak, or lacking discipline. Human brains evolved to seek novelty, rewards, social connection, and information. Modern technology is exceptionally good at capturing those natural tendencies. Understanding these psychological mechanisms isn't about blaming technology or blaming yourself. It's about recognizing that your attention is valuable. And every time you choose where to direct your attention, you're shaping your habits, your relationships, your productivity, and ultimately, your life. Social media should be a tool that serves you, not something that controls you. So here's a question for you. What is one small change you could make today to take back control of your attention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy learning how the mind works and want more evidence-based psychology content that helps you understand yourself better, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And if you'd like extra support, download our free digital reset toolkit from the link in the description. It includes a social media habit tracker, a scrolling self-assessment, and a 7-day challenge to help you build healthier digital habits. Remember, reclaiming your attention doesn't happen through perfection. It happens through small, intentional choices made consistently over time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.